Well, you've no doubt heard plenty about shortages of many things over the past year and a half, and probably experienced it yourself on multiple occasions. Now, in the latest shortage, Canada is tapping into its strategic reserves because of yet another shortage. Welcome back to the Travel News episode. I'm your host, Robert Witham. I'm a former newspaper journalist. I now report on travel news. Well, before we dive into this story out of Canada, I do have a couple of quick announcements because, after all, it is Cyber Monday. First up, 2022 Meanderings Travel Photo Calendar. I've had a lot of requests to do another calendar this year. I did one last year for the first time, based purely on the number of requests I'd had to do one. Bottom line, I didn't think I was going to do one again this year because prices have gone up and shipping has gone up, but I had a lot of requests for it, so I decided to do it anyways. But I ordered a very limited number of calendars. The catch with calendars is you really have to sell them by the end of December because nobody wants to buy them in January because they've already got their calendar for the year by that point. So I didn't want, given the high prices, I didn't want to end up with a stockpile of calendars if I wasn't able to sell them all. So I ordered a limited number. They're available on my website at robertwitham.com. Link to that in the description if you want to grab them while they're available. Also have a brand new book project that's been launched just this past few days. It's the Meanderings Magazine Short Story Collection Volume 1. If you're familiar with the magazine or you're subscribed to that already, or if you had bought any of the issues, you probably already know that since issue 2 in 2019, each issue has featured an original short story by author Deborah Dickinson. Deborah writes these exclusively for Meanderings Magazine, and they are travel-themed stories that feature a location, one or more locations that are featured in photographs in that issue. So really cool. I've heard really good feedback from everyone about those stories in the magazine. So we've compiled the first 6 stories from issues 2 through 7 in a single book. So until now, you had to be subscribed to the magazine or buy single issues of the magazine to get those stories. They're now available in book form and paperback and in Kindle. So you can check that out. Again, there'll be a link in the description, or you can just go to meanderingsmagazine.com. You'll find the links to both the paperback and the Kindle version. I think both of these, the calendar and the book, make a great gift idea if you're looking for gift ideas for someone in your life. All right, well, this is a bit of a different news story today, but I thought it was fun and interesting just the same. According to a story on CNN Business, Canada is tapping into its strategic reserves to deal with a supply shortage of liquid gold. That is, they're tapping into their strategic reserves of maple syrup. The Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, a government-supported trade organization, has announced that they will be releasing approximately 50 million pounds of maple syrup from its strategic reserves. Now, I tend to think of maple syrup in quarts and gallons, not in pounds, so I'm not sure what that works out to, but 50 million pounds is a lot of maple syrup in any case. It amounts to nearly half of their strategic reserves. The Quebec Maple Syrup Producers has also been called the OPEC of maple syrup, as it is able to control syrup prices and supply through its use of strategic reserves. Quebec produces nearly 3/4 of the world's real maple syrup. The fake stuff made of the corn syrup doesn't count, and its largest export market is the United States. Maple syrup production depends on just the right weather in the early spring to get a good yield. This year, spring in Quebec was hot and short, leading to a lower yield than normal. In addition, sales of maple syrup rose more than 20% in 2021 compared to last year, 2020. Mark this up to another unanticipated side effect of people being home and cooking more during the pandemic. There are presently 50 million maple taps in Quebec, while there are plans to add in an additional 7 million over the next few years to keep up with soaring demand. Quebec's maple syrup reserve has been in the news before, like when $20 million worth of syrup was stolen between 2011 and 2012 in what came to be known as the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist. This news may have you wondering if there's any end to shortages in sight, and perhaps whether it might be time to take up homesteading to ensure a steady supply of food and other essentials, like maple syrup. You can always buy a piece of property with maple trees and tap them to make your own maple syrup, like my brother and sister-in-law did in upstate New York. Had a video about that 2 years ago when we were out there, actually right at the start of the pandemic. I was out there with my daughter and two granddaughters, and we got to help cook maple syrup over an outdoor fire boiler. So great fun. Well, my brother actually delivered me a jar of real maple syrup from their farm when we met up this spring at Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah while he was traveling through on a trip from New York to California and back with a friend. And in case you're wondering, I grew up eating homemade pancakes with real maple syrup, so I won't touch that fake stuff that's made in a factory. Are you ready to start homesteading? To be sure you can maintain a steady supply of maple syrup and other goodies, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, travelers, send me links or details or stories you think may be of interest to robert.witham@gmail.com. Thanks to those who have already shared news and links. I do appreciate it. Now that you know what's going on out there, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Thanks for joining me in this travel news episode.